Raina Troy Hotline.
Alicia, Michael, what's going on?
We know you have takes. We have takes.
I'm actually surprised that your rant line, rave line, whatever, isn't completely full.
Why can't we just win a game?
Can I blame Michael Castillo for this?
Can I blame Bob Connolly for this?
Could I put on a zebra shirt and just go out there? Scratch, claw, up against the wall. Can't explain it what I'm feeling right now, guys. I can't believe it. Let's open up that rave line! Woohoo!
Oh, I can't believe USC is undefeated in the SEC. Wait, we're in the Big Ten. What's our record? Oh, no!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rant Line Radio, episode 605. Coming to you on Thursday, July 24th. We're going to talk about the latest in USC football, including a bunch of Big Ten Media Day stuff. It's the unofficial start of the 2025 USC football season. A lot of stuff, new graphics, new season to talk to. Everything is kicking off here on Rant Line Radio. As always, you can follow us on social media at Rant of Troy. Email us, rantoftroy@fanside.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227. Second What's Brewing Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, journalist with my co-host here in the Rant Line studio in Los Angeles, Alicia D'Artolo.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. This is the first time we've recorded in like almost a month.
Yeah.
We
sort of by plan and not by plan.
Yeah, we had a 2-week vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We pre-recorded 2 episodes while we were on vacation
because we were only supposed to be unavailable for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then last week we got sick, but now
we're still kind of sick.
But we're here. We're here. Anyways, welcome back here to Rant Line Radio. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Raul Murdy and Tim in LA. Tim in LA says, "Yo, welcome back and fight on." Raul Murdy says he hasn't seen the Lincoln Riley press conference yet. We're going to talk about that here on this episode. First and foremost, though, we mentioned that we were on a 2-week vacation. We went up to Alaska, went to British Columbia, scraped the tip of the Yukon. And in the process of this, Alicia, thousands of miles from home, we were spotted in the wild.
We were, to the delight of our friends who we were on a cruise with.
Yeah. Big shout out to Brad Phillips.
Yeah.
Saw us in the wild and was like, Are you guys Mike and Alicia from Miniature Radio?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he was coming up to our table to like ask if we were using a chair or something like that, because I don't remember what the chair situation was. And he was like, "Are you guys Michael and Alicia?" I was like, "What?"
Yes. Yes, we are. Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. That was sorry if we were awkward, Brad. We're awkward people. And
I think the funniest part about it is the friends that we were with were the friends that went to the Washington game with us.
Yeah.
Which were sitting in the stands, and I'm gonna forget who it was. Was it somebody named Alex? Eric?
You're the one.
I'm
who
a terrible
remembers.
person for this.
I don't remember names.
I don't know.
I'm
I'm so sorry. And was sitting over by us and like saw us and like geeked out and stuff, which is it's the coolest feeling, but also so awkward because we're just a bunch of nobodies. You know what I mean? Like there's other people that you should be more excited to see in the wild.
Again, the funniest thing is just like how shocked our friends were that we got spotted in the wild.
Yeah.
And like how
both times with them there.
Both times with them there.
And they just think that this is a normal thing now.
Yeah. Which is like, maybe they think we're bigger time than we are, but it's still cool to what's cool to me is that like there are people who listen to the show. Mm-hmm. Like we have proof that there are individuals in this universe who listen to the show and like us enough to like recognize us and to come up and say like, hey, I listen. Like that's just really like gratifying because yeah, it's proof that we're connecting with people and that people are paying attention. So
Yeah.
very, very cool to meet Brad. We ended up taking a picture with Brad. And yeah, I thought we would end up seeing him around the ship more, and I don't think we did. But Brad, if you saw us and we didn't see you, my excuse is that my eyesight's very poor, and my facial recognition is even worse.
Well, the funniest part is our friends that we went on this cruise with, their neighbor was on the ship. And they never spotted the neighbor every time we were like in the elevator with the neighbor.
We were literally in the elevator
Multiple
with the
times.
neighbor, and our friend weren't like, they didn't know that it was him. So yeah, it's just one of those cruise things. But
one of those things. But here we are.
So now you know, if you guys are ever on a cruise, like I don't know, keep an eye out because maybe you'll
be there.
find us. Maybe we should do a rock cruise. Like,
that would be cool.
I don't know how they do those things. I know those
then
things happen.
could we become cruise YouTubers?
Hey,
could we be like Emma and the La Vida Loco guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Anyways, let's cruise on into the 2025 football season. We always talk every year how Media Days is the unofficial start of the college football season, really. This is, if you're a coach, basically the first day of school. You're going to meet up with the media. I was in Las Vegas for the Big Ten whole congregation here. We got to start where we always do with Media Days, which is the Big Ten media poll. Alicia, SC came out 9th in the poll. Penn State and Ohio State both had 11 first-place votes. The Nittany Lions.
This poll is wild. Can we just
on total votes?
Can we just acknowledge how wild this poll is? Like, not that I'm disagreeing with the poll necessarily. Like, I don't think there's anything super egregious, but it's also a wild poll in the sense of like the reigning national champions are behind the perpetually 10-2 James Franklin Penn State. Illinois is ahead of Michigan and Indiana. Nebraska is ahead of USC. Like, it's just a weird. I don't know how to process where people are feeling about any of these teams. Like Illinois, Michigan gets a first place vote, and they're behind Illinois.
Yeah, the whole thing is weird. So it's Penn State number 1, Ohio State number 2. Oregon had 2 first place votes. They're 3rd. I think that's the consensus top 3. We've talked about this before.
Easy. In any order.
Yeah, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. Those are the top 3.
I give Ohio State the edge here simply because it's time to start putting some respect on Ryan Day's name. Yeah. Yes, sure. He started out on third base, but like, he has now won a national title. Mm-hmm. He has sustained success at Ohio State. Like, I think we should assume that Ohio State is number 1 until James Franklin and Penn State, or until Dan Lanning and Oregon prove that they can rival that kind of productivity and that kind of achievement. Mm-hmm. But if people want to disagree, I don't think it's unfair to disagree. I understand why Penn State and Drew Aller and all of that. Like, I understand why Penn State is treated the way that they are, but I also still need to see proof from James Franklin that he can sort of get over that hump, and Ryan Day has done it, and James Franklin hasn't.
I think, as always with these things, there is returning quarterback bias.
100%.
And I mean, Drew Aller is the best quarterback in the conference. So, I think it makes sense to have, Penn State up there.
I think is also
those 3 in the
USC's
top
place.
3. Pick your poison. Illinois at number 4, I think, is maybe the biggest shocker. I think we had talked about it before that if we were doing this, we do it sort of in tiers. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. Put them into a bag, shuffle them, pick out whoever you want to be 1, 2, and 3. After that, whoever number 4 is, most likely for us, we were saying Michigan.
Yeah, but again, like you explained, I think a lot of things in this poll can be explained by returning quarterback bias because
Yes.
Luke Altmaier's back for Illinois.
Yep.
And Michigan is probably going to end up starting a true freshman. So, like,
Yep.
I get that. Indiana.
Got to replace Mason Graham, all those guys.
Yeah. Indiana, who was, why am I forgetting their quarterback?
Fernandez.
Well, no. They get Fernando Mendoza.
Fernando Mendoza.
But they're replacing their quarterback from last year, whose name I'm currently blanking on, which is fine.
Yeah.
So I would give Indiana a little bit more juice there.
Yeah.
Because I think Curt Cignetti has now proven across the board, like this is not somebody. I don't think that Indiana's 2024 season was like a giant fluke. I think it's more likely that Illinois' 2024 season was fluky than Indiana's was, simply because Curt Cignetti at this point has proven the quality of coach that he is. Now, is Indiana going to be in the playoff? I doubt it, but I also think like I would put my money on Indiana over Illinois at this point.
Sure.
And Michigan, I mean, that roster is still good. Michigan is like, souped up USC in terms of like, you just have to assume that they're going to be good every year, even if they're primed to disappoint you. But true freshman quarterback is scary.
Souped up SC with the national title in the recent past.
Yes,
right?
yeah. What I'm saying is that if we were going purely on like blue chip ratio of any of these teams, or like the blue chip ratio, which I think is put together by
Bud Elliott.
Yeah. Blue chip ratio has Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, USC.
Yeah.
Like that's the order.
Yeah. And when you look at that tier that's, from the, we had talked about, you put pencil in Michigan 4, and then from like 5 to 9, you have another grab bag tier of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, SC. I think we talked about putting SC a little bit higher than Nebraska and then
I would
Iowa.
certainly have USC over Iowa.
But at the same time, all those teams are so similar. And you look at the poll, it's Michigan 5, Indiana 6, Iowa 7, Nebraska 8, SC 9, ahead of Washington at number 10.
And 9 through 6 are separated by 40 points in the poll.
Well, 9 through 7 are 18 points.
Yeah.
So it's really tight there, and then there's sort of a big gap
to Washington.
Yeah, big gap to Washington, and then bigger gap down to 12 to Wisconsin after Minnesota.
Rama Murdy says no love for Jaden Mayava, I guess. Yes, and USC does technically have a returning quarterback, but he's not a returning quarterback who started the full season.
Yeah.
He's a returning quarterback that, as much as, again, if you watched the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl,
yes,
you might have come away with a not so great impression of Jaden Mayava, depending on when you turn the game off. So I think, again, like I explained the Nebraska USC of it all in that I think voters are probably putting their money on Dylan Raiola to be a better quarterback than Jaden Mayava this season. Which I think is like, given Matt Rule's track record, I think it's totally fair if you expect Nebraska to make that leap this year and to see Dylan Raiola be a better quarterback than he was as a young quarterback. The one that doesn't make as much sense to me is Iowa, but they have because they are in a weird like what even is their offense?
Yeah.
And I maybe it's all the assumption that defense will be really good, and they brought in the South Dakota State quarterback Mark Gronowski, and considering considering what he did at FCS level, obviously the leap to FBS level is different, but he is a veteran, capable quarterback, national title winning quarterback. So if you wanted to look at things and say, well, okay, Iowa's defense plus a new offensive coordinator plus a veteran quarterback, that maybe you're leaning on the balance that Iowa will have relative to, I think, the broader potential that Nebraska and USC bring. But I agree. I think that Rama Murti is correct in that I think there's a lot of skepticism about Jaden Mayava.
But so I was thinking about this when I was, playing the video game a little bit. I am so torn on this SC season in general. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. They played every game close last year. They weren't run off the fields at all by any team that they faced. They belonged in the Big Ten. They didn't win that many games, but they belonged. They competed. They were competitive.
They should have won significantly more games than they did.
Yes. And they bring in a bunch of defensive transfers. It's year 2 in the Danton Lynn system. Like, you got Kamari Ramsey, who's maybe the best returning defensive player SC has had since 2020 when they had Hufanga going into his junior year. Like, things are...
All due respect to Jalen Smith, but yeah.
Yeah, like, there are a lot of reasons to feel good. At the same time, this is a team, led by Jaden Mayava, who we talked after the CarCast, after the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, that was the worst quarterback performance through 3 quarters we had ever seen. And so, like, I am optimistic about this team. At the same time, there's, like, this massive devil on my shoulder saying, yeah, but... You know what I mean? And I understand the skepticism with Jaden Mayava, absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a massive devil on my shoulder too. And I did, before we left on vacation, I did the Quack 12 podcast with Hithliday, and every year he
a 6-hour pod.
He charts every game, not just for Oregon, but like everybody. Mm-hmm. And I always really love hearing his perspective on USC's roster, and he appreciates my perspective on USC roster, but we literally go position by position on the roster and just dive down deep into everything. And I find that every time I do that podcast, he tempers my sort of optimism on the season every year, because he's asking me questions that I have to find an answer to, and sometimes I don't find. Sometimes too many of my answers are shrug, hope. And I think that I think that the voters could look very stupid if everything goes right for USC this season. If USC's biggest question marks turn out to be non-issues. And I think there are several of the question marks that I think very well could become non-issues. The problem is, like, I think Jaden Mayava could very much become a non-issue. I think I would lean more towards Jaden Mayava will be more of the fourth quarter Jaden Mayava than the first 3 quarters from the bowl game, right? But when you look down the line, like, my question marks around the offensive line, we're going to talk a little bit more about one of the big reasons for that going in a second, but like, USC needs literally everything to go right on the offensive line, and things have already gone disastrously wrong on the offensive line, and they haven't even started fall camp yet. So, cross your fingers and hope that stays together. The defensive line is, we think, upgraded, but still a massive question mark. Linebacker is being held together by twigs and string. There are a lot of areas of this team that one little domino falls and suddenly the ceiling on this team goes from, double-digit wins to the same thing as happened this past season, right? So I think there are myriad reasons to be pessimistic about what USC brings to the table as far as like voting for the Big 12 media poll. I guess my issue is there are also myriad issues why Nebraska won't be the 8th best team in the league, and why Iowa won't be the 7th best team in the league, and why Indiana or Illinois or Michigan might not be the 4th, 5th, or 6th best team in the league, So again, we go back to those tiers of like 4 through 9. It's really going to come down to which of those teams, and I say this understanding that not everyone thinks about luck the way that I do, but when it comes to sports, you need to get lucky. And by lucky, I mean avoid injuries in key positions. Have the ball bounce your way every once in a while when it could bounce the other way. not have, wild swings of momentum that cause, catastrophe in one game or another. Luck, you make your own luck, absolutely, but luck still plays a huge role in the outcome for all of these teams. And 4 through 9, and maybe we'll throw in Washington in there, if we want to be really generous. But 4 through 9 at least, it's gonna come down to the ratio of luck. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if what's the SP plus turnover luck
turnover
concept.
luck, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you just told me, like, if you told me what the turnover luck number for each of these teams will be going into the season, then that's how I would rank them 4 through 9.
Yeah, and turnover luck, if you don't remember, is basically the concept of like 50%. You should, on average, teams recover 50% of fumbles, and for passes that are touched by the defense, so pass deflections or whatever, they intercept 50% of those. If you are over that 50%, you are very fortunate. Like, you are outdoing the average, and if you're under doing the average, right? Like, and that's not to say that, again, like with the luck stuff, like, doesn't mean that you didn't earn it. It doesn't mean that, that you're not good or bad or whatever it is. That it doesn't have
anything to do with talent or coaching, which obviously.
We're just talking about the averages, right? And then I think the other thing about luck is, like, luck has so much to do with the unfortunate not happening just as much, if not more so, than the fortunate happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you don't have a season-ending injury at a key position. That's fortunate. That's luck that's in your favor, even if it doesn't feel lucky, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's not an active, it's passive luck.
Yeah. Tim in the chat says, if there's one thing to trust with Lincoln Riley over his career, it's quarterbacks. Does he still get the benefit of the doubt going into this season? I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's had 1 year in which you could say that he had substandard quarterback play, and that was last year. And even then, like, the quarterback play was not up to his standard, but it was good enough to win more than the 6 games that they did win.
Statistically, USC's defense was still offense was still top half of the Big Ten. Like, statistically,
a bad Lincoln Riley offense is still going
like top
to be
25 easy.
Top third of the Big Ten.
Yeah. So, I think that we were judging this past season on, relative to his expectations of a quarterback. I think that it is wildly unfair at this point to think that to take away the benefit of the doubt that he should get when it comes to quarterbacks. I think the bigger issue on quarterback for Riley was the Malachi Nelson swing and miss. Like, Malachi Nelson is the root of all these problems because Lincoln Riley clearly never intended for Miller Moss to be his starting quarterback. And Jaden Mayava, as far as bringing him in as a transfer, was very clearly a Band-Aid to deal with the fact that the Malachi Nelson swing and miss happened in the first place. Because if the Malachi Nelson thing, if he comes in as the touted freshman and comes in and the succession plan works the way it should, then Riley has the quarterback that he intended to have all along. I think the bigger question for this season is, what is the timeline for Hassan Longstreet? Because Hassan Longstreet is the chosen quarterback, and Jaden Mayava is in the, not exactly 1-to-1, but like he's in the, certainly not 1-to-1 because of sort of expectations, but he's in the Spencer Rattler position where he could lose his job to the 5-star stud behind him without playing actively poorly.
Sure.
He can just be not far enough above replacement level. Yeah. And then that would be sort of the question, in much the same way that like Miller Moss ended up getting replaced, even though Miller Moss, again, substantively, Miller Moss was quarterbacking fine. He was not doing it in the key moments of the game, which is why USC lost games the way that they did in the fourth quarter. And that precipitated the change. I think that Jaden Mayava will probably have a shorter leash than Miller Moss did. And in that case, then it all comes down to like Hassan Longstreet being ready to go as a true freshman. And then is that Riley's fault if he's not ready to go, 4 games into his true freshman year? Like,
Right.
Not really. So then this season becomes one of how does Riley do when he's sort of juggling the quarterback situation that he has, where it's very clear that he's not, he's sort of still working with a patchwork quilt kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to like wrap myself in circles here, but a lot of it is sort of being fair. I mean, we don't have to be fair to Lincoln. Lincoln Riley, we can criticize him for plenty of things. There are plenty of things we can criticize him for. But when it comes to like the development and play of his quarterbacks, even this past season, I don't know how much of that was a Lincoln Riley problem and how much of that was Miller Moss just wasn't the right quarterback. And Mayava wasn't ready to go straight away. It's
also the first time in, 8 or 9 seasons?
Yeah.
That he didn't have a spectacular quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he still has the benefit of the doubt. Really quick before we move on, I'm going to ask you really quick if you can parse out the difference in Miller Moss and Jaden Mayava's numbers from last year.
God.
Talk about yards per attempt. Who had more?
Yards per attempt?
I'll tell you, Miller Moss was at 7.1. Is Jaden Mayava higher or lower than that?
The problem, I would say, like, yards per completion, I would give Mayava definitely longer because he just took more of those shots. But Mayava also had more incompletions, and which will tank his number there. But for the sake of just saying it, I'll go Mayava and expect to be wrong.
Identical, 7.1.
Okay, there we go.
And yeah, the yards per completion would be more in part because Miller Moss completed 5% more of his passes, 64.4 to 59.8. So yeah, both of them at 7.1. Interception rate. Percentage of passes thrown that were interceptions. Miller Moss, who
I think it's
the big reason why he got benched was through the 3 picks at UW, right?
Yes.
2.5% of his passes were interceptions.
I think that Mayava is probably very close, like 2.7.
3.5.
3.5. Okay, so he was significantly worse. Okay.
Yeah. Quarterback rating 135 to 133.
Again, yeah, same.
In
130.
It's not drastically different.
No, but 130, a sub 150 quarterback rating for a Lincoln Riley quarterback is low.
Yeah.
Like, Lincoln Riley's quarterback should be at 150 and above.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Yeah. Andrew in the chat says, as pointed out in the P, Longstreet should hopefully get some reps in the first 4 games. If he doesn't, then there's truly bigger problems afoot. Yes,
100%. There's runway here that there wasn't last year.
Yeah. SC's playing Missouri State, who for all intents and purposes is the closest thing to an FCS team that SC has ever faced in the history of the sport. They have never played an FBS game.
This is their first game as an FBS team.
Yes. If you cannot get Hassan Longstreet in that game, you have problems. Then again, I know somebody on this podcast who has played that game digitally and lost.
That somebody also just literally 20 minutes before we started recording, played that game again without the most catastrophic turnover luck that you could ever imagine in a game happening, and won. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the offensive line. DJ Wingfield, his eligibility going into 2025, kind of an issue. He was denied his waiver to play. Elise, you want to explain this whole deal? Because Lincoln Riley was asked about it at Media Day, and there's sort of no updates, no final answer on what's going on, even though he did not get his waiver from the NCAA.
Yeah, this is a mess. So the background on this is that Diego Pavia, the quarterback at Vanderbilt, sued the NCAA effectively to regain eligibility from his junior college years. The argument being that the NCAA shouldn't count junior college seasons as part of their eligibility years because they are not NCAA games. JUCOs are not NCAA organizations or whatever programs, and so those games, those seasons should not count against your NCAA eligibility. He won that case, or at least got it to where the NCAA effectively gave a blanket waiver to junior college players who have who would have otherwise run out of eligibility this coming season. While this is all getting played out in the courts, they all get eligibility again. Hence, Diego Pavia getting another year at Vanderbilt. Hence, there are a bunch of dudes in the transfer portal entering the transfer portal with an unexpected extra year of eligibility. I believe John Ray Reed was another one, the center that came. I can't remember if Keyshawn Silver was one of those as well, but definitely DJ Wingfield was. And so USC brings in DJ Wingfield from Purdue as the presumptive starting left guard. The problem being that Wingfield and a bunch of other former JUCO players have now been denied their eligibility waivers when they expected to be able to have eligibility in 2025 for what I will term the stupidest goddamn reason the NCAA could possibly come up with. But legalese going to be legalese, and they're just going to be spiteful, terrible people. The issue is that Diego Pavia's situation was about years of eligibility. You are given 4 years of eligibility, a fifth if you take a red shirt, and a sixth if you get a medical red shirt, right? Like that's those are your exceptions to the rule, but you have 5 years to play the 4 seasons of play that you are eligible to have to be granted, right? You have 5 seasons to play for. One of those can be a red shirt. The other 4 you can play. That's your eligibility, right? The 5 seasons to play is a clock that begins the first season that you play college football. The NCAA has decided that when they're considering junior college seasons that are no longer counting against your 4 years of eligibility, they are not budging on the 5-year window that you have to play those 4 seasons, starting with your first junior college season. For example, if you are DJ Wingfield and you went to junior college in 2019 and you played a season at El Camino College in 2019.
Go Warriors, baby!
As a junior college player, and then your 2020 season got canceled, so we erased 2020. 2020 is just erased, which I wish we could do, but, in terms of these, it is. COVID waiver activated. Let's just ignore 2020. So now 2021 is your second season of college football. You are still at El Camino College, a junior college. After your 2 seasons at El Camino, which took 3 years, but would have taken 2 years if not for COVID, but took you 3 years to do your 2 seasons in JUCO. That's 2021. In 2022, you enroll at New Mexico. New Mexico, in the first game at FBS level, playing New Mexico, you get a season-ending injury, so you don't play in 2020. You effectively take a red shirt. And then in 2023...
In 2022, you don't play.
In 2022, right. 2023, you come back from injury and play 9 games. That is your 4th season, 4th year with the clock running. And in 2024, you transfer to Purdue and you play your 2nd season of college football, effectively, of FBS level at Purdue. But that is your 5th year since you started your career. The idea that he could play his 2025 season would be based on those 2 seasons at El Camino are wiped out, at least for this 1 year. And theoretically, he has a 4th year to play. He still has eligibility to play because he's only played 3 seasons of FBS. One of them, you could take a red shirt. So 2 seasons of FBS, right? Is this all making sense? Am I convoluting it too much?
Sure. Gotcha.
Okay.
I think. Only because I'm reading the rundown that you're reading off of.
Okay. So 2025 should be an eligible season for him, given the years that he has played college football in NCAA football, right? But no, because his clock started in 2019. The clock that started when he played his first game for El Camino College, a junior college program that is not an NCAA program, the clock still ticks from then. So his 5-year window ended in 2024. So he technically has years eligible, but he doesn't have time to do them because his eligibility clock is over. Which I say is beyond silly. This is a guy who had his entire college football career upended by the 2020 COVID season that sort of changes the timeline for everybody involved in all of this. He has only played 22 games of college football at the FBS level. He has played 22 games, and they won't give him another year of eligibility. Meanwhile, Diego Pavia, let me just get my number right. Diego Pavia, who is the one who started all of this, who rightly got his extra year of eligibility because the JUCO question is in place. Diego Pavia has played 40 games. 40 college football games at FBS level programs. He has played 40 games, and he's going to get another season. DJ Wingfield has played 22 games, had a season-ending injury, and he's not eligible to play. He's not eligible. This is ridiculous. This is silly. This is stupid. It infuriates me because like this is not within the spirit of like of what we're trying to do here with college football. Like
I look at this 2 ways. One, if we're going off the traditional understanding of eligibility, then the way I look at it, if you just work backwards, the Purdue year is 1 year. The 2023 New Mexico game is a second year, and then he played 2 years at El Camino in 19 and 21. And then the 22 is a medical red shirt.
Which should mean he should still be, if we're just being blanket like that.
No, I mean, blanket like that should be it.
Yeah, give him the medical red shirt and...
No, but I'm saying like those are 4 seasons. So like, what I'm saying is...
But the NCAA, it has been challenged about... Right, whether or not
about
JUCO
the JUCO
season
stuff.
should count for this.
Yeah, I'm saying I think the whole JUCO thing is weird. If we want to, I love college football. So if we want more college football for players, I'm all for it. I do think it's weird. Having said that, there's the guy from Oregon that's at Miami who like was in the 2016 recruiting class or whatever it was, right? Like. A very similar thing where, like, he had more medical stuff, like a bunch of medical red shirts and medical waivers, just like you used to back in the day have a 6-year senior kind of thing. He's outside of his 5-year clock.
Yeah.
So, like...
and that's what sucks is that, like, I don't know what the timeline on this was in terms of if Wingfield had known that this wasn't going to go through, would they have pursued a medical red shirt? Medical red shirts usually aren't given unless you've lost 2 seasons to injury. So he probably wouldn't have even gotten a medical red shirt. But then you're like, then you consider that like he spent 2 years in JUCO, sort of all of this stuff happened. Like it's a very convoluted situation. But the fact is, he played 22 games at FBS level. Like, you know, he's only played 2 seasons at FBS level. Let's be real. And it's just silly.
Yeah. So, to me, Wingfield's biggest issue is that there's other players who have benefited that he hasn't. And, you know, you had pointed out to me in our rundown that there's a guy over Nevada, right?
Yeah. So USC, this is from USCfootball.com. the receiver from Nevada, Cortez Brahman, is a former JUCO player. He is trying to play a 7th season of college football. He's at Nevada. The NCAA ruled him ineligible because of that 5-year clock. Mm-hmm. A federal judge in Nevada gave him a preliminary injunction, which means that like it's basically a stay of his ineligibility. And so until that can get worked through the courts, he technically has to be able to play, which theoretically, I don't know what the timeline on any of this is, but theoretically will give him the opportunity to play in 2025. I don't know the exact details of that case and the ruling from Nevada, but if it was a question of a challenge of the 5-year eligibility rule relative to junior college play, then it's possible that that's a good sign for Wingfield. Yeah. The bigger issue being that like Wingfield will be filing his injunction, I assume, in California. And you never know with different states, different judges, all of this kind of stuff, how the ruling will go. But that's at least one good sign. UCLA has a receiver who is under this same situation. I think there's a handful of other, I mean, there's a lot more than a handful. There's a bunch of guys who are in the same situation and trying to do legal sort of injunctions to force the NCAA.
Don't you love this sport?
I know, it's so silly. To force the NCAA to do this. But as of right now, with fall camp starting in days now, presumably in a week or two, DJ Wingfield cannot practice. He is not on the team. He is not eligible to be on the team right now, which is a huge problem for a USC team that was already going into this season with DJ Wingfield in the starting 5, knowing that they couldn't afford a single injury on the offensive line or things are going to get rough. So going into the small plus side of this is like finding this out now relative to 2 weeks before the season, this getting, he won't be able to play. At least they can go into fall camp knowing that somebody else is going to have to be ready to be the starting guard, left guard. But it's still this is a terrible, terrible situation for USC to be juggling.
Yeah.
At a position that they could least afford to have this happen. There are a lot of other transfers who I am excited to see, but I think outside of maybe DJ Harvey, every other transfer, DJ Harvey and John Reed, every other transfer that USC's brought in, if this happened to them, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would suck. But from a team perspective,
positionally,
positionally, USC could figure it out. This happening to the to the left guard, one of two players that USC just could not have drama happening to. It's very, very bad.
Especially because you could, if he was at right guard, this wouldn't be a big issue because you could just run to CVS and buy some right guard.
Okay.
No?
No. Okay, I mean, no.
Okay. Let's move on.
All I'm going to say is that, if DJ Wingfield is not eligible to play for USC this year, USC fans need to start crossing their fingers, lighting prayer candles, and doing whatever, voodoo magic they need to figure out to do to hope that someone like Micah Benuelos is ready to go.
Yeah.
Or like Makai Saina or somebody, because right now I don't know who is ready to go.
You need an Andrew Voorhees that's ready sooner than you thought he would be.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I would be very
Back
curious. Yeah, I would be very curious because, I know he's a former walk-on, but Killian O'Connor is talked about on the team by players as he's very well respected. I forget who it was. Somebody was asking him who the toughest offensive linemen to go up against were, and he named Killian O'Connor as one of them. I would be very curious if USC does anything there as far as right now. And this is me just making crop up in my head as hypotheticals because what else can you do?
Right.
The most likely outcome here is that Michael Benuelos slides in, and that's your left guard. But I would be very interested if USC even considers saying, well, Killian O'Connor, former walk-on though he is well respected, trusted by the coaches, all of that kind of stuff. Like, would they give him a shot at guard? Would they consider moving Jean-Ray Reed over to guard? I doubt it. But, like, how much are they willing to shuffle to address this problem?
Yeah.
There's a lot to figure out.
Yeah. And if there's anything that I know of for sure is that I love Benuelos.
Me too. I do love Benuelos.
Yeah. Let's go to the last little talking point before we get into what was said at the media day. New roster update. The incoming transfers for the fall enrollees. Tamir Robinson from Penn State, linebacker. He's going to wear number 14. Chasen Johnson, the corner from UCF. He's going to wear number 21. Those are good numbers, I think.
Yeah.
Kennedy Urlacher, safety at number 28.
Less good number.
Less good, but 21 is a corner. Love it.
See, am I? You know how there's like hat theory.
Mm-hmm.
I have number theory,
Oh,
and
me
I don't
too.
know
Yes.
how fair it is, but like
It's very fair.
okay,
Very fair.
when a corner comes in and gets like 21,
21
It makes-
for a corner, top 2 or 3 number as far as I'm concerned.
especially when he comes in and takes it from a freshman who had it,
Mm-hmm.
which was Tristan Castro, who's
Yeah.
now wearing 37. Like,
Yeah.
it makes me think that, like, okay, Chasen Johnson is really in line to compete for a starting job, especially at like positions that have a lot of players. Like the 14 for Tamir Robinson. I mean, it's a teen number, which is better than like him being like a 41, like Garrison Madden, but.
Yeah, but I'd rather a 41 than a 14 at linebacker.
Yeah, at linebacker, I don't know that that's like
I'm
a number
weird.
that tells me like, yes, he's part of the plan immediately. Like
I mean, I think
it's
it does though. I think that the lower the number, I think
the bigger part of the plan you are. That's generally a fair assumption here.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
Let's talk about the freshmen incomers for the fall. Tunik Hines, wide receiver, number 16. The number, of course, famously worn by Dominic Davis. Running back, Harry Dalton, number 25. Famously, of course, worn by freshman year C.J. Gable.
25, no offense to Riley Wormley, but 25 is a much better number than 27, to the point where I was sort of in my head thinking like Riley Wormley is the guy. If any of the freshmen saw action, it would be Riley Wormley because he was an early enrollee.
Yeah.
I'm again, number theory. Don't, this is stupid.
27's good, though.
No, 27's not good. No,
I disagree.
27's a walk-on number. No.
This is so wrong.
No, 25 is a much better running back number than 27.
If we're talking about the best numbers for a running back that's in the 20s,
25 is up there.
25, 27, 21, 23.
20.
Everything else is bad.
21.
29,
25,
horrible. 28, bad.
21 and 25 are the only, 22. Let's go 21, 22, and 25.
22 is dependent.
23 feels like a walk-on
27 is
number
great.
to me.
Larry Johnson.
Maybe it's I don't like odd numbers. Whatever it is.
27 is so good for a running back. It's a classic running back number. All right. Safety Steve Miller, now number 36. Do I still have this on the board? Do I have it? No, I don't know where I put it. The little Steve Miller sound that I have. Either way, he's number 36. He wore 14 in the spring. Corner Tristan Castro, you mentioned earlier. 37, he was 21 in the spring. D. Riddick at safety, number 41. R.J. Sermons is wearing number 42 at corner. I have thoughts about this one. 42, iconic USC football number.
Not for a corner.
Maybe it is, though.
Is it?
Ronnie Lott started as a corner.
Okay.
Brian Kelly, corner. Chris Richard, corner. I believe Brian Kelly played with Rodney Sermons. I think. Maybe.
Why don't I have RJ Sermons on my in my depth chart?
I don't know. 42, realistically, terrible number for a corner. But given SC's history with 42, kind of dig it. Number 44, freshman linebacker Matai Tagoai. Number 44, that's a good number.
Brad. Hi. We talked about you in the beginning of the show, so go back and
big ups to Brad.
Yeah, big ups to Brad. Awesome to see you in the chat, and awesome to see you on vacation. We did have a nice vacation. He's seeing us everywhere. Yeah. I hope you had a nice vacation too.
Yeah. AJ Tuatelli, number 54. Wide receiver Romero Eisen, number 84. Romero Eisen, 84.
Which not you good. Don't like receiver. You don't like receiver numbers in the 80s. I don't think 84 is a good receiver number, but I am pro
84 is a good receiver number if it's 1996. It's not 1996 anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Gus Cordova, number 90. And then Jaden Ramos, number 95. Solid.
Yeah. No complaints there. Number. I don't think you can go wrong as a defensive lineman if you get something in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to the media day stuff. Start with Lincoln Riley talking about college football playoffs and the Notre Dame rivalry specifically.
Wait, sorry. Did we get Zacharias Williams a number for him?
0.
Oh, buddy. Okay. All right.
He makes me drool.
I'm just saying. Number theory is off the charts here, guys. I thought I was being unfair to, in my personal depth chart, have Zacharias Williams ahead of Prince Strawn as the third wide receiver in the pecking order, along with Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. But number 0 coming in, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, Jamal Jarrett also number 0.
We're good.
Let's get to the media days. Lincoln Riley talking about the Notre Dame rivalry. He was asked about it. I believe the exact question, I'm pulling this up now. The exact question was, where is it? I just had it. Where'd it go? Talk about the importance and significance of the SC Notre Dame rivalry. Does it matter when the game is scheduled? This is what he was specifically asked. Lincoln Riley says no, doesn't matter, which I think sort of lends the credence to the thought that it could be potentially moved to week 0, week 1, September in general, which I think we've talked about before. If that's what needs to happen to save the game,
whatever.
That's what needs to happen to save the game, right? Riley then went on a whole thing about how he loves rivalries. He got hired at Oklahoma. His first thought was that he got to play in Red River. Then when he got hired at SC, his first thought was that he got to play Notre Dame. So the rivalry, all these rivalries mean a great deal to me. Riley says they mean a great deal to anyone who cares about college football. Yes, I mean, do I want to play the game? Hell, yeah, I want to play the game. Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I came here, all right? But my allegiance and my loyalty is not to Notre Dame, and it's not to anyone else. I'm the head football coach at USC, and I'm going to back USC, and I'm going to do everything possible that I can in my power to make USC as good as it can and not let anything stand in between that. I'm very hopeful that we can get to a point where it makes sense. It's one of those situations right now where I think the two schools are in radically different situations. Bad sign. I think we can all agree that with one having a conference affiliation and one not. Okay, if that's what he means by the radically different, that makes more sense. I think it's another... I think there's a million reasons why we should very seriously, as college football community, adopt the automatic qualifying in terms of the college football playoff, says Riley. This might be the most important one, is that we give every reason for college football to preserve non-conference games that mean a lot to the history of the game and to the fan bases and the former players and everyone that's been associated with it. I'm very hopeful we can get there, and I'm very hopeful that we can play this game forever. Alicia, your thoughts?
What's that clip? I know I've seen the GIF a lot, but it's like I don't believe you. When you say you care about the rivalry, I don't believe.
This is not what you're talking about, but my first thought was, I don't care that you broke your elbow. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I believe that he wants the game to be preserved. I don't believe him that part of the reason he came to USC was to play USC Notre Dame, because if that was the case, then this wouldn't be even an issue. Like, this wouldn't be a problem. There would be no issue here if the rivalry was that important. This is all about the college football playoff and the automatic qualifying. It's blatant. It's there to see, and to sacrifice USC Notre Dame at the altar of the college football playoff automatic qualifying means you don't care about the game, at least not as much as you care about automatic qualifying, which is bullshit, but that's fine. Whatever. I've said my piece on all of this. I've used a lot of words on all of this. I guess if you love the rivalry and want to see it survive, you got to root for automatic bids. Whether you like automatic bids or not, that's clearly what will determine the fate of the rivalry game. So, what else?
I don't like the automatic bids.
I don't either.
Especially because we've talked about this forever. I don't like automatic bids because every year is different. And so the idea that this conference gets this many and that conference gets that many. Look at basketball. Basketball is a prime example. If you would have set up the number of bids that were in March Madness 5 years ago, it'd be drastically different than today, right? Like, the SEC is the best conference in college basketball, right?
Yeah.
The SEC, were they a top 5 conference 5-10 years ago?
Nope.
Maybe on the fringe of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so we're gonna lock in these conference automatic bids only for the power structures. I mean, I guess it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then automatic bids for the Big Ten and SEC guarantee that the Big Ten and SEC the ACC and the Big 10, Big 12 are simply going to give in to those conferences by the end.
Yeah.
And, the rest is...
The other side of me, the very pragmatic, like, looking at this from a overall fairness of sport / competitive way, however you want to put this, I do think that, like, if you want to ensure that every team has an opportunity and all that kind of stuff, then yes, it makes sense to have these automatic bids, in the sense of, like, the more teams that have access to the playoff, the better, all of that. And when you have a sport that is stupid enough to have some teams in the conferences and some not in conferences, I see how you're looking at this from Lincoln Riley's perspective and saying the best chance that we have to get into the playoff is to stack the deck as much as we can, but also, like, allow ourselves a pathway to have a straightforward way to qualify for the playoff, because every other sport has a straightforward way to qualify, right? Baseball has a straightforward way. It's stupid now, but you got to be in the top 6, right? Mm-hmm. We all know that in Champions League, to get in the Champions League spots, you got to be in those number of spots, right? In basketball, you got to be in the top 8 in your conference, whatever it is, right? All of these are, now it's what, the top 10? Is it the 10? Whatever the pre-tournament bullshit that they have in the NBA. There's set parameters. So I understand that logically that makes a lot of sense. This is also a sport that makes 0 sense, and a sport in which everybody has a very strong emotional tie to these things that are, like, schools have emotional ties to things. Like, Notre Dame still butt hurt from 125 years ago over comments that another school's head coach said won't join the Big Ten. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so as much as it makes sense, it doesn't make sense, but the whole sport doesn't make sense. So there's part of me that's like, okay, whatever keeps the rivalry alive, just do it. Because the sport as we know it is so drastically different today than it was when we grew up or our parents grew up. But if the mainstay is still that Notre Dame's on the schedule, then Notre Dame's still on the schedule. So if
beggars can't be choosers at this point.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
He was asked, Lincoln Riley, about Jaden Mayava. You want to go over what he said about his quarterback?
Yeah. He started 4 games for us last year, all 4 against good football teams, all 4 against really good defenses. He gave us a chance to win all 4. We were able to pick off 3 of them, make some huge plays, made some unbelievable plays in those games, showed a lot of resiliency, a lot of toughness, his arm talent, the decisiveness in which he plays and how he sees things is really unique and has a chance to be really special. We really focused on, I think, 2 big areas this offseason. I think he's continuing to find his voice as a leader, which he's really grown as, and I think matured and really become more comfortable with. Then I think the second for him, like a lot of young quarterbacks that we've ended up becoming pretty solid players, is making sure that your mistakes don't kill us. As a quarterback, a lot of times it's, yes, you want to have great plays, but how bad are your bad plays, right? If your bad plays are incompletions or throwaways or occasionally taking a sack, like you can still win with that. Which I think that this is all the story on Jaden Mayava is, he clearly has a skill set that can win USC football games. He clearly, was able to engineer victories in more of the games that he played than losses. But his bad plays were really damn bad, and his bad plays were the reason why USC lost to Notre Dame. So it's one thing. Let's go back to the certainly didn't happen Missouri State loss to the for the USC Trojans this in a certain video game with a certain person.
Definitely, it doesn't happen if you turn the machine off before the game loads.
Oh, no, it definitely didn't happen. No, it absolutely didn't happen. But if it were to happen, if I did do it, in the words of O.J. Simpson, how would it happen?
Christ.
It would happen because of multiple pick sixes, like that. That would be the thing that would do it. So,
allegedly.
So again, when you're playing these games, the difference between winning and losing is sometimes less to do with your big plays and more to do with the plays that you don't make, the mistakes that you don't make. And Jaden Mayava was still a very young quarterback in terms of his not just his age, but his familiarity with the system, with Lincoln Riley, with what he wants to do, and having a full off season to work on those things, to find a better balance between the really good plays and the really bad ones. It could be a huge step forward for him. I think that when you're looking at a quarterback who really mastered that at USC, Caleb Williams, that's what made him great. It's not just that he made incredible plays that you've never seen a quarterback make before. It's that you look at his interception numbers, they were like shockingly low for a quarterback that plays the way that Caleb Williams played. Mm-hmm. So he took big risks, but he very rarely took the kind of risk that would get him into huge, unmistakable trouble. And the one time that he really did have a massive problem with turnovers, it was his worst loss at USC ever. It was the Notre Dame game. So those are the things that differentiate a quarterback, a functional quarterback and a non-functional quarterback. So that's what Mayava needs to work on. It really does come down to, you cannot be throwing this many interceptions. You cannot be throwing pick six.
Yeah. You talk about the Caleb season in 2023. He I don't know that he took a step back as much as he didn't take another step forward. Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, also the players around him took a step back, which didn't help him.
Right. Yeah. But yes, he has the really bad game against Notre Dame that was atrocious, but truly an outlier. he had 5 picks that entire season. 3 of them came in one game.
Yeah.
And like you compare that to players who we have seen do that before where like their final year isn't as good as the great year before it. Matt Barkley, didn't he throw 15 picks?
Yeah.
Was it 15? It was something like that.
Well,
Jameis Winston threw like 15 or 16 picks.
I used to judge
in his last year at Florida State.
I used to judge a quarterback season on the turnover, like idea about whether or not they were single digit interceptions.
Yeah.
If you could have single digit interceptions, you were probably okay.
15 picks for Barkley in 2012.
Yeah. So like, Keaton Slovis was out here keeping to single digit interceptions.
18 for Jameis in 2014.
Yeah. Like JT Daniels 2018 had 10 interceptions. That was a problem. In 2017, Sam Darnold had 13 interceptions, and he only got away with that because he's freaking Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. But the year before, he had 9 interceptions, and like that was a better year for him. So that's the way I've always graded it. And the fact that Miller Moss had 9 interceptions in 9 games was a problem. The fact that Jaden Mayava had 6 interceptions in 4 games is a huge problem because you put that out across 12 games and your numbers are looking pretty horrific.
Yeah. Last thing to touch on here that we wanted to get to was Lincoln was asked, obviously you've had a tremendous season with the transfer portal and bringing in players, but how do you feel your core high school recruits have developed? And are they ready to take the next step to bring SC back to prominence? Lincoln responded with good question. Then went on the whole thing. I think we've heard this before, where he's talked about like he said if we went heavy again in the portal in year 2, I think we tried to capitalize on that, which was probably the toughest decision and one that we went back and forth on the most, and one that if you ask me, maybe my biggest regret up to this point. That's probably it. Of course, the first year of the transfer portal, SC gets all those big offensive players. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, Mario Williams. Like, they get those guys to come in and Travis Dye and play big roles in 2022, right? Try to do the same thing in 2023 to less avail. And ultimately, you look at the players that SC has developed from the high school level, hasn't necessarily been up to snuff, which I think makes it interesting when you look at 2026, in which SC has like the greatest recruiting class in the universe, right? Like, I think it's a good step forward to like change those things, change the focus. At the same point, you're ultimately going to be judged by whatever works the most, right?
Yeah, and ironically, like, I know that the emphasis being on the transfer portal in 2020 class, it was the class of 2023 season, right? I think the problem is that what was it? It was like the 2016 class or whatever that was really good at USC, and then just like it was full of flameouts and everybody didn't work out. I think part of the problem here that he maybe can't say outright is that like the big guys that they got, like most of them are gone. You know, if Zach Branch and Malachi Nelson and Deuce Robinson had all panned out exactly the way that a 5-star player is supposed to pan out, we are not having this conversation because USC comes in with Malachi Nelson, Zachariah Branch, Deuce Robinson, Makai Lemon and whoever as their main offense. If somebody like Tackett Curtis had panned out, if Braylon Shelby was further along, then a lot of the conversations would be slightly different. And that recruiting class, that 2023 recruiting class would have been, great, as opposed to like, yeah, we sort of missed the boat there. The real issue is just that they waited until 2023 to go all in on the offensive line. And now you're in a position where if you had in 2022 gone harder or had more success with recruiting offensive linemen, you would have offensive linemen who are ready to play. And right now you're banking on guys who are maybe a year away to be the crux of your offensive line. And that really was starting in like the class of 2022 and year one. I would say what I'm saying is that like he's talking about hitting the portal too hard in year 2.
Yeah.
The bigger issue was recruiting the trenches in year 1, which I know was they didn't have a lot of time to do it, but like they needed more offensive linemen. They straight up just needed more offensive linemen and they didn't get them.
I think so much of this is just results bias.
Yes.
Because like I'm looking through the guys that SC brought into that 2023 class in the transfer portal. It's a fine class. Dorian Singer. Everybody wanted Dorian Singer when they went out and got him. Did he pan out the way that Jordan Addison did? No. But like in the moment, you all thought that he would, right? Like he was arguably the best receiver in the conference when SC went out and get him. You want SC to be the big swinging dick that goes out and gets those guys, right? Anthony Lucas hasn't like panned out with the talent that he had, right? Like Bear Alexander, very good football player when he wants to be.
Yeah.
Those are two guys that were very talented and guys that you would have wanted SC to go out and get. Like, Emmanuel Pregnon had a lot of success before he left, right? Like, I think so much of it is just results bias. And you're right. Like, if they did get, Zachariah Branch and Deuce Robinson to be the superstars that they were expected to be, and if they, we saw flashes of it, both those guys, right? If they were truly the superstars that SC wanted them to be right out of the gate and everything, you look at this completely differently too, because then, you can look back and say like, actually it was really good that SC went out and got Marshawn Lloyd to supplement, having Quentin Joyner in the backfield or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. And I just think that I agree with you that a lot of it is results based. I don't disagree with Lincoln Riley that clearly USC, the balance of high school recruiting and transfers has changed, and they've gone way more into high school recruiting.
Yeah. And
it's not just that though, because it's not about the balance and where they're putting their money. It's how much they're spending. It's because if they had come in 2022 and they had the spending mentality that they have now in 2022, they would have been able to get, Caleb Williams and all the guys they got and buy a few offensive linemen from the high school ranks and buy a few defensive linemen from the high school ranks and had it, sort of change the future. The issue is just that, who has panned out and who hasn't. And we could be at the end of the season looking at the 2023 offensive linemen, and let's say we're best case scenarioing, right?
Sure.
Even let's take DJ Wingfield out of the equation. Best case scenario: Elijah Page, Micah Benuelos, Tobias Raymond, Alani Noah. Those 3 third-year players all become really damn good. Like you've got 4 locked in, competing for all Big Ten kind of level offensive linemen, and USC is suddenly like, that worked out really, really well, right? They're still very thin behind them because they didn't recruit 2022 the way that they should have as far as the offensive linemen go. But we're sort of not talking about, we got it wrong in year 2, because you clearly got it right in year 2 if those guys work out. The problem is that there's too many ifs still going around with that group. And we've already seen, like, if it had worked out with the top players in that class, then we would be having a different discussion because Malachi Nelson would be a Heisman candidate and Zachariah Branch would and Deuce Robinson would be competing for the Biletnikoff. And that's just not what happened. But those were 5-star guys, you know, that they brought in. And like you pointed out, like no one was mad about Dorian Singer. No one was mad about Anthony Lucas, you know?
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Would you rather miss on a stud transfer or a, blue chip recruit?
You mean like which of would I rather have them be the bust? Which one would I rather have be a bust?
Yeah, I have a hard time calling like Zachariah Branch or Deuce Robinson a bust.
Yeah.
Because they weren't bad players, right? Like, they just didn't reach the heights that SC fans wanted or SC like needed them to be, right? Yeah. Like, and Zachariah Branch especially frustrated because we saw glimpses of it, right? Mm-hmm. But like, would you rather take a Dorian Singer or a Kyle Prater?
I mean, my argument at the time was that like Dorian Singer, at least we know his floor. Like it's.
But the floor was lower than you thought it would.
The floor was lower than we thought it was, but it wasn't like he couldn't get on the field. Well,
I guess my thought here is, it's easy. It's better to have. I mean, the reality is this is It's a stupid debate, but like, if you miss on the transfer, that was a short-term gain in the first place, right? Yeah. Theoretically, you can make up with that the following year, whatever. On the flip side, if you have to rely on your transfer to make and break your season, that's a problem. And that's the thing that SC has had, a situation that SC has had to be in. SC should be in a situation where the transfers are upgrades, a.k.a. Caleb Williams coming in for Jackson Dart, or they're bonus players, a.k.a. Jordan Addison, coming in, rather than guys that you have to put in all your eggs in your basket in, Mason Cobb, right? Because when Mason Cobb isn't the player that you expect him to be in 2023, like,
well,
that's an issue, right?
The bigger part of the problem is like USC has been dealing with a roster that has too many holes of significant size that need to be filled by a transfer.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like if on the it's one thing on the offensive line. This is something that I talk with Hitler at now every year. It's like, if you need to bring in one offensive line transfer, that can work. You can do that. If you need 2 offensive line transfers, you're in trouble. If you need 3, you're basically screwed. But the point being is that, like, you only ever want to have one of those guys come in to sort of fill a gap.
It didn't help that Tarquin never played.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's sort of the point, is you were now relying on Tarquin to be there, and you were relying on all, like, USC's track record with these offensive line additions has actually been pretty damn bad when you think about Tarquin and who was the other guy that ended up going to Florida, White or whatever his name was. Like, you know, it's been a little, and then Emmanuel Pregnon transferring out, which now looks like a catastrophic error on USC's part to let him go. But, you know, like, you want to be in the position where you're looking for, like, your Eli Sanders or your Marshawn Lloyd or your, you know, if Eli Sanders doesn't work out, then I don't think USC's running back room is completely screwed, but, you know, based on who they've brought in. You want to be able to, like, bring in your DJ Harvey, because DJ Harvey's really good and he has a connection to someone on the team. And without DJ Harvey, you probably would still be fine as far as your cornerback group. Like, I think you still would look at your cornerback group and say, you know, we can work with this. DJ Harvey is a cherry on top. Rather than where USC finds themselves in with the offensive line, where, like, if they hadn't brought in 2 offensive line transfers, they'd be really in trouble. Where they ended up with a wide receiver where they were just, you know, losing guys left and right. And where they are at linebacker, where I still think it was a mistake to not bring in a ready-made starter at linebacker, but we will be seeing what happens there.
Yeah, and Ethan White was the one I was thinking of, not Tarquin. Tarquin played.
But Tarquin, I think Tarquin got injured and wasn't really.
He played 11 games.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think he was in and out.
But still, that offensive line transfer class was looking really good, and it ended up not being exactly how you thought it would be. But that was a year that they had to rely on Kingston and Tarquin and Pregnon, and Pregnon ended up being the best of the bunch there. Then they lose him with NIL stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this week. Glad to be back. We'll be back next week to talk more USC football. We're going to put together an episode, a preseason primer of sorts. We love listening to a preseason primer. Solid Verbal, I think, does one now. The F1 word. No. Shift F1. Sorry. Shift F1 does a preseason primer episode every February that is great. Basically tells you all the things that you maybe missed in the off season, but also sets the stage for what's going to be, coming up in that season. And we want to do one of those next week when SC opens camp. We've talked, we've seen, people in our Discord talk about who are these guys, right? The whole major league thing. There's a lot of guys on the roster that maybe, there's so much changeover now, turnover, and attrition and all of that stuff that it's hard to sort of keep up with, the Ethan Whites of the world that end up being a thing and then aren't a thing. So who knows? Maybe DJ Wingfield gets added to that list too. We'll see. But we'll talk all about that next week. As always, email us, rantoftroyfanside.com, phone number 818-643-7227. We'll be back next week. Back on Wednesday, 4 p.m. We went Thursday this week, of course, because of Media Day. So until next time, any final word, Alicia?
The final word is honey, as in this podcast was brought to you by honey.
Yeah. Even though we both still coughed. But.
But we didn't cough as much as you were coughing a lot before we started. I was
this is
quite
true.
Worried.
Yeah.
So,
if you go 20 minutes into the episode, off camera, I was absolutely chugging some honey. So we made it.
Well, I made tea that was just very heavy with the.
And of course, tea is disgusting.
Tea is lovely. Although I will say we got some throat coat tea, and even I can't really do that one. So I did a mint lavender.
But by the way, before we go, we haven't potted since the Chelsea have been crowned as world champions. Any thoughts?
Congratulations to Chelsea on
world champs
winning a tournament.
World champs.
Okay.
World champs. Not my fault. You guys couldn't qualify. World champs.
Yeah. Why couldn't USC? Why couldn't Liverpool qualify? Because of arbitrary qualification rules.
Because you didn't win the Champions League.
We won the Premier League.
We won the Champions League.
Yeah.
And we qualified because we won the Champions League.
Liverpool won the Premier League twice.
You didn't win the Champions League. That's your fault. Sorry, you didn't qualify.
Getting into the tournament isn't only based on Champions League. Other teams that didn't win the Champions League. But it's the automatic bid. Yeah, and why couldn't Liverpool play in that tournament? Because they only allow 2 teams from any one league.
Win the Champions League, so that way you're not sitting there bitching.
We won the Champions League the year before the cutoff.
Well, you didn't win it soon enough. Yeah. All right, we'll see.
The worst part about Chelsea winning is the insufferability of Chelsea fans.
World champs. All right, we've won it all. We've won it all. We won it all. We won it all. We won it all.